they'd have to do an exploratory, see what was going on, and opened him up and said it was so far advanced they couldn't do anything. So they sewed him up, sent him home to die.
Where was the operator doing?
And Caldwell. They didn't, I don't remember what month he died in, but he didn't live very long.
Were you there when he died?
I wasn't personally, the rest of the family was. But I had the little boys and there wasn't anybody to take care of them, and so I've been taking care of kids. Everett's were out there, and Lewis's, and she'd had some nurses training. She helped take care of him the last few days, gave him some shots that...
Who, Esther?
Esther, Jeffery, Lewis's wife.
Right.
And she helped take care of him a while till he passed away. They were all there but me when he died.
Then his body was shipped back to North Branch, correct?
Yeah. One of the guys went back.
Who?
I think it must have been Everett. I've forgotten. But they had spent the winter out there. And I think he was the one that went back. Of course, they all went back by car.
They never intended to stay?
No, they just, Everett's came out for the winter, and Lewis's came out to help take care of Dad his last few weeks. And then they all went back. That next year, they had a real good wheat crop, the best that country had had in a long time. And we kept thinking, well, if we just stayed a little longer, but we didn't have anything to stay with, and we were determined to do it ourselves. We were not going on the government dole. Roosevelt was just beginning his, what my dad thought was a socialistic regime, and that was against everything he believed in. So that transferred to me, I guess. But if I was going to starve, I was going to starve on my own terms.
And not with any help from Roosevelt?
Without any government help.
So you had a low opinion of Roosevelt?
I don't remember as we worried about that. We did worry about the programs that he was starting, because I'd been so indoctrinated by my dad that he was so against socialism. It was one of his pet themes to do it yourself. So you paddled your own canoe or you went without, whichever suited you best. If you wanted to starve, it was up to you.
Where were you finding work?
There were people needing our help for weeding their crops or setting out onion sets or a lot of day labor in that irrigated country. Hard work.
And you with 2 kids?
And me with 2 kids, and the boys were a little bit older for that time, and I'd take them with me and they'd play at the end of the field. What is something? There sure wasn't any. When you made about $1.70, $2 a day, you didn't hire a babysitter. One of the reasons for that was there wasn't anybody that did that. Everybody you lived in the same, everybody had to do the same way, so you didn't feel different. It was all the same. Nobody had anything.
You have plenty of food?
If you didn't, it's your own fault. You're too lazy to get out and plant it or go in the fields and pick up after the machines. You could have a hard time starving to death.
You mentioned that you moved into a little shanty west of Greenleaf. What was the shanty like, and who owned it?
Well, there were two shanties, in fact. The one in back that we slept in must have been one of the homestead shanties. It was nothing but a shanty. Then somebody, I don't remember who even owned it, had built a fairly decent little one-room building in front. And that's where was our living quarters mostly, except our bedroom facilities were in the back in that old building. Then John came to live with us, and he had worked out and earned a little money and bought a couple of cows. And he milked the cows, sold the milk in the village, or I think he said, well, about 17 cents a quart. That was the way he paid his tuition at the academy, and I suppose we lived on the things we raised and what we picked up in the fields. You always find fruit and apples, and potatoes, onions.
What were you paying for rent?
I don't remember what we paid there. It couldn't have been much. But I can't answer that. I don't remember.
Okay, now we're coming up to World War II years. From that house, where did you move?
Dad got a job working by the month for a family out west of Wilder, west and north, a couple of miles. I think he got about $40 a month, and they furnished a house to live in.
Oh, so you moved out west of Wilder.
Mm-hmm. And we lived out there a couple of years. And lived in the Williams house. It was about a quarter of a mile north of their residence, and Pop worked by the month for him.
What Williams?
Wade Williams.
That was north of the mill, wasn't it?
North of Wilder.
North of Wilder?
Yeah. We never, it was several years before we lived north of the mill.
Okay.
That was after Jim was born.
Okay, so you lived 2 years out north of Wilder.
Then he got a job working for a man that had run a dairy in Nampa. And we lived down there for a year. He will help milk. But this man milked a big bunch of cows, and they delivered milk around town. And he worked there for better than a year, I guess.
Living where?
We rented a little house there in Nampa. And about all I remember about our living expenses there, it cost us about $50 a month rent and food. Of course, we had all the milk and the dairy we needed. But, and we thought we were getting on pretty good. $50 a month. Mm-hmm. Okay. But there was long hours and hard work for Pop. Of course, I had 2 little boys. I didn't work out any place.
2 years there?
Must have been.
Then where?
Then we moved to Greenleaf. And lived in a house beside the Glen Munns down east of Greenleaf.
Isn't that where Jim was born?
No, he was born, yeah, it was. It was 41, and he was born 42 in February. I remember very vividly the day Pearl Harbor was bombed. It was on a Sunday.